What is going on, everybody? The original Mako back with one of these last couple of videos of the year, and this one is going to be the top 5 anime that I watched this year. Once again, the rule for this is that it just has to be something that I watched this year. It didn't have to come out this year. It just has to be something that I watched. So there's a decent amount of shows that I watched this year, so picking a top 5 was a little bit difficult when it came down to the last couple of spots, but for the most part, I think I have a pretty good list here of top 5 that I watched this year. So let's go ahead and get into it. Coming in at number 5, we have the show 86. Now, this was a pleasant one that I stumbled upon because I actually had started reading the manga for 86. And then realized that the manga stops after 3 volumes and leaves a lot to be desired in terms of the story. So I was like, well, I'm gonna watch it, see what all they have for the show, and it was a very, very good decision. A lot of high intensity action. The reason this isn't higher is because some of the fight scenes, in my opinion, are a little bit a little hard to follow with how much camera switching and different angles and all this other stuff that there are. However, still a ton of fun and a very this one's gonna tug at the heartstrings. It's an emotional one. It's a really good story, and definitely one that I would highly recommend watching if you enjoy shows that are similar-ish to Attack on Titan, like a dystopian future. A lot of death, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, then I would definitely recommend it. Now, obviously, it's not on the same level as Attack on Titan, but it is that style of show. So I would go ahead and that's why I would put that at number 5. I think it's a good spot. It was a toss-up between this and a couple other shows, but I really do think the emotional moments, and especially the last few episodes of the second season, really drove this one home into the number 5 spot for me. Next up, we have number 4, which is going to go to Black Clover. I started off the year with Black Clover. I actually started it at the end of last year, but finished it at the start of this year, and it was really good. It was a ton of fun to watch, and I think, especially since the manga is now back, when they inevitably, because I really feel like they will, inevitably make another season of Black Clover, I think it's going to drive this home as a really good one, because I think the story's almost over. I think this arc is like one of the last arcs, if not the last arc. So it ended on a little bit of a cliffhanger. We also had Black Clover Return of the Wizard King. I think Return of the Wizard King is what it was called, the movie that came out this year, which was really cool to see, you know, the animation difference. So that was a really good movie to watch as well, which kind of made this another layer better. But I think when the final season comes out, or the next season, whatever it may be, I do think that it's going to take a nice jump on my list of favorite shows, because it is just, it's very, you can get a lot of motivation out of that show if that's what you're looking for. Asta's the guy for that, and it's a feel-good, high-intensity shonen show. A lot of good fights. The reason it's only at number 4 and isn't higher is because, well, the top 2 shows would have been very hard to beat for me, and the third show, and the reason it's not going to be number 3 is just because Black Clover is just a little bit too over the top when it comes to their comedy. It's just, they try just a little too hard in some moments to be super funny when it doesn't quite make sense, or it's just a little too much. So that's why I have it at number 4. Coming in at number 3, I have Black Lagoon. So we have Black Clover and then Black Lagoon. This one is one that I am very, very glad I decided to watch this year. I just watched it a month or 2 ago now. And I'm super happy I made that decision. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I was just like, you know what, this seems interesting. I'm going to watch it. And man, was I not disappointed. The action is so good. The fact that there's until the OVA episodes, it's not really a story. There's like a bunch of really small arcs, but the arcs are just different jobs that they go on. And it's more, the story is more like showing what it's like working for like the underground mafia type of getting involved with all that kind of stuff. And there's some good character development. If you want a show that has like some really strong and very fucking cool female characters, then god damn it, this is the show for you. Revi, Bellalaika, Bloodhound of Florencia, which Bloodhound of Florencia is a sick fucking nickname, by the way. Edda, the nun from the church. Like, there are so many really cool female characters. And not to mention, they are also bad. They are also baddies. So that adds to it as well. But I had so much fun watching it. The OVA episodes, so you have the season 1, season 2, and then you have 5 OVA episodes at the end. The OVA episodes for me cranked this show to another level. I already really liked it, even if it would have just ended with season 2. But the OVA episodes took it to a new dimension. The story for those 5 episodes was incredible. The action was so good. It was fantastic. And I am very much hoping they make more Black Lagoon in the future. They stopped making it. I think the OVAs came out in like 2014. So you're like, well, that's been 9 fucking years. But it's not really the show's fault, because the guy who writes the manga is releasing like 1 volume every 4 to 5 years. So there's been like 3 volumes that have come out since the end of the OVAs, which isn't necessarily bordering on enough to make a new season. So if we get another volume or 2, maybe we'll get a new season of Black Lagoon. I obviously very much hope we do, but we'll have to see. I'd love to see that show with a little higher quality animation like we have in today's day and age. Next, the top 2 for me weren't really close to the others. I don't think any of the shows I watched this year really held a candle to these 2. I will say there is a pretty good gap between 1 and 2 as well, but there's also a pretty good gap between 2 and 3. So number 2 for me was Dr. Stone. I believe I watched, I think all of season 3 came out this year, so part 1 and part 2. And that show for me is just one of the better shows I've watched in general. I love Dr. Stone. I love Senku as a character. I think there's no show that does the side characters better than Dr. Stone. I really don't think there's a show that competes with how important the side characters are, how much screen time they get, how they all have their own little quirks, personalities, specialties. They nail it with side characters. On top of that, it's a fun show to watch. It's educational. You kind of learn stuff as you're watching it, but that doesn't mean there's still a ton of action, a ton of twists, turns, suspense. There is a lot of begging the question at the end of every episode, oh my god, what's going to happen next? And these new enemies and obstacles that come into play, and the ways that they solve the problems to overcome those obstacles is just so much fun to watch. And it's animated well. I'm super excited. I think there's a lot of talk about how the next season, season 4, is going to be the final season, which is sad, but they are also reaching and getting closer to the point where that would make sense. So I'm really excited for season 4, and I have absolutely loved watching Dr. Stone this season. So really excited for what's coming next with that. And the number 1 show that I watched this year, or that I watched, like with Dr. Stone, I started watching it a while ago, but all of season 3 came out this year, so it technically counts, is Jujutsu Kaisen. I don't think any show at all that I watched at least has competed with JJK this year. The pacing, the animation quality, the story, the fights, every single thing about season 2 has been incredible. I've said this a few times to a couple different people, but I'm really glad that my friend started me on Naruto as the first anime I watched, because I honestly think if I started on a show like Jujutsu Kaisen, I would never be able to watch. There would be very few anime I'd be able to watch, like shonen or action anime, that I'd be able to watch ever again. Because every single episode is high-intensity action or some sort of crazy cliffhanger. The pacing is just ridiculously fast, and it's really good. But starting with a longer show, I was able to kind of appreciate the building out a little bit more, the story and world building and what that can add to a story. But Jujutsu Kaisen it scratches every itch. It's super well animated. I think that it has a very top of the line dub voice cast, which I'm still on the side of like I don't necessarily, I prefer watching it dubbed usually, just because it's easier to watch that way. And very few times in my life has any dub voice actor ever taken away from the show for me. Am I saying that dub sounds better all the time? No, not at all. But it's not really taking away from the show, so I'd rather just watch what's easier. But I do think there are a couple of voice actors on the JJK dub that do just sound really, they fit the role perfectly, which is always an additional bonus on top of everything. So I think Jujutsu Kaisen is definitely by far my favorite that I watched this year. The good news for my next year's top 5 list is that JJK Season 3 is not coming until 2025. So 2024 is the number 1 spot will be wide open. And boy, I tell you what, my fucking cheeks are wide open right now thinking about all the shows that are going to be coming out next year. I mean, we've got Solo Leveling, Chained Soldier, Classroom of the Elite. We've got Tower of God, which is coming next year. We've got other things that I can't think of right now. I think Hell's Paradise Season 2 is coming next year. So many different things that I am very excited for, and most of those were just like stuff that's happening at the beginning of the year. So who knows where it's going to take us, but a lot of things I'm super excited for. So there it is, the top 5 animes that I watched in 2023. Let me know some favorites that you've watched this year. I'm excited to watch a lot more next year. I'm currently catching up on Boruto, so I've got about 150 episodes left there to catch up on. And sue me, I'm actually thoroughly enjoying it. I know that's in the minority, but what are you going to do? But thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you'll have a wonderful rest of your day. Hopefully you'll have a wonderful rest of your 2023. And I think this is, I don't know if this is going to go up before the gaming video or not. But if it doesn't, then hopefully you have a great rest of your 2023. And I will see you again in 2024.